Hey guys, Ninja here, and welcome back to some more Enigmatica 8. In this episode, we automate our reactor. And then we need our export, and we have some red cable there. Gonna shift this, there we go. Then red. Build some thermal series machines. Set up a new Powah energizing orb. And have a blast continuing to automate our base. To get started, we're going to take our usual tour to see what we've been up to since the previous episode. You'll see we've doubled our drive bay capacity, so we have another 32 above the previous 32 we had already installed. We have also tripled our assembler and pattern provider setup, so we now have another 2 stacks of those. We've also cleaned the cabling up to these and optimized the channel usage a bit. And on the very top floor, you'll see we have doubled our computers that we have available. So instead of 4, we now have 8. And we've also cleaned up the cables and tried to make them look nice, which is hard to do sometimes, and optimize them correctly. And that's pretty much all we've gotten into since the previous episode. What we're going to work on doing now is automating our reactor into our applied energistics system so it can keep itself full of fuel and the other inputs that it requires, like redstone, coal, and dry ice, which is also going to require us to get into thermal expansion a bit and create some additional machines so we can automate the process of getting dry ice. And for today's episode, we're going to be moving all of our Powah setup over to this building so we can create our dry ice as well as our uranium that we need. Like I said in the previous episode, we're going to move at least one process over per episode, and for today's episode, that's what I've decided to move over. We may get more stuff moved over today, we'll just have to see. I've also done some machine optimization. I've added some more speed upgrades. I would like to eventually build some dynamic tanks to hold some of these chemicals and fluids that we're generating, just because these machines burn them very fast. And I don't know, like, we could probably build 10 to 15,000 ingots, and then we would run out of oxygen and or hydrogen chloride, and then we would be limited to how fast we can process the fluid, or in this case chemicals, because they're not actually fluid. But we'll just have to see. That is probably going to be future content. We also need to work on a stairwell. So I was going to finish the stairwell up. I forgot that we had another floor up above us, so I started the stairwell and then realized, oh wait, we got this little weird roof line, and I don't want to change our roof line, so we got to figure out how to get stairs up to this section and connect all this. We may remodel this room, because I have tried a couple times to put machines in here like we have over here, and I just can't get it to look right. So what I'm thinking about doing is putting this door down here on this end and putting a stairwell right here going up to that next floor, and that'll enable us to build a wall, a fake wall here and here, to put machines, so make this room a little smaller. The only downside of that is we'll lose our glass, so we'll just have to see how that looks and figure out what we're going to do. But let's go ahead and get started on our first task today. So I've decided to add another little causeway walkway that mirrors the other side. And this is just to visually make sense so we have a connection to this top floor to the rest of the building. So now this mini tower, all the floors are connected in some way to the primary layout of the building. So this second floor has the causeway here, and then the third floor has the causeway cutting through here, and it also cuts through to our little viewport area over here in front of our applied energistics brain. So what we're going to do now is I've already kind of cut some holes in the floor and ceiling. We're going to run a line over to our reactor so we can fully automate that bad boy. So we're just going to connect this blue line and run it through the wall there. We also added one of our doors that we've designed for our base to this causeway, so I think that's a nice touch, and it's centered on the room looking out that window there. Well, let's get back to laying this cable. We're going to go into hover mode, and we're going to lay this cable through here. Hover mode can be a little tricky to control sometimes. All right, now we're going to cut that off because it's annoying for it to be on when you don't actually need it. We're going to bring that cable through. We're going to run it through the floor here. We're going to connect through to this floor. We're going to connect it down one more. And then we're going to bring it across the ceiling. And I believe right there will be a good spot to stop it. Yes. Now we should be able to grab our P2P tunnel. Put it on the end. And then we need our export, and we have some red cable there. Gotta shift this. There we go. Then red. Now we just need to grab our memory card real quick so we can map this P2P tunnel. And we're going to go with, I'm not sure which one to use. Let's just use this one right here for now. It isn't like we have a limit on our, well, we technically do have a limit. It's just 8,192, so we've got plenty of channels. With that said, I don't like to waste them, and I like to optimize everything, so that should be connected now. And we've got some upgrades for that export. We're going to go ahead and put those in there. Can we hop on this chest and use that? No, it ain't tall enough. We'll just hold our jetpack. So on this export, we want a crafting card, so we want it to be able to craft everything it needs. I'm not sure what just happened. Let's pull all that out and get rid of that. That's weird. So we want the crafting card up there, the capacity card, and then we'll put 2 acceleration cards. We're going to switch this to round robin, and we're going to tell it redstone, coal, uraniite, and we also need dry ice. I don't have any spare, so we're going to take one of these. Actually, let's pull all of this out of our chest. Put this stuff in our system. Clear up some inventory space, because I want to make sure it's working. Now it should be pulling, yeah, see, it's already pulling coal and redstone in and uraniite. So now we can also add the dry ice to this. And this will keep our reactor full of those 4 items. And we'll just go ahead and put our dry ice back in here. And we'll put that last stack of uraniite in our system. And we're going to leave it on auto mode so it can self-regulate itself. And now it's fully automated. Now we're going to go and work on our stairwell we talked about, as well as setting up some additional machines so we can automate the process of getting dry ice. So now that I've spent a significant amount of time setting up all these machines and making them look pretty, I realize that most of these have a singular purpose and probably don't need 3 pattern providers and 1 import bus, like these 2 multi-servos. That's okay, we can optimize it and remove some later if needed. I mean, we have so many extra channels and space to build in, I'm not too concerned at the moment. We do have a redstone furnace and pulverizer set up, fully integrated into our applied energistics. Each one has 3 pattern providers and an import bus, and they're fully upgraded with a resonant integral component, expanded RF pole, and 2 flux linkage amplifiers. And all of the machines are set up like this for now. All of our import buses have 1 capacity and 3 acceleration cards. So this setup mirrors the setup over there. It's a little cleaner, but that's primarily because I did this double gap. I was actually kind of lazy, didn't feel like trying to link all those cables up, so it's a little cleaner actually. I'm sure you guys noticed that, and it's an idea for future builds. These 2 servos over here, I am using 1 to create gears and 1 to create plates. So we have a new way of creating plate and gears now. These I'll probably combine into 1. I don't know why I set these up separately. One of these is taking ice and making packed ice. The other is taking that packed ice and turning it into blue ice. We have a dedicated blast chiller over here to making ice. We'll let this run for a while. Eventually we'll probably make it redstone sensitive and throw a lever under it. We also have a photogenic isolator set up, and we've added a couple patterns already of things that we can craft, and that's moss, glowberries, and sea pickles. There are other things that we may add. This only has 1 interface. It might have 2. Actually, I put 2 on there, and an import bus. The blast chiller hilariously has 2 interfaces on it. We can get rid of 1 of those and put it over here on our induction smelter. It only has 1 because of channels. That is hilarious. This literally has 1 job, and I put 2 pattern. It don't even need a pattern interface. It don't need nothing at all. All it needs is this import bus. That is just hilarious. We'll probably move both of those over here, and that will maximize our channels. Right now, the only thing we're using the induction smelter for is to make hardened glass, but it has other uses as well, which we'll look into. I almost ripped all this out. I was not really feeling the wall and the way we done this, but I think it turned out okay. Definitely let me know what you guys think. You can see we did what we were talking about earlier. We moved the door down and added a stairwell. And if we go up here, this is still unfinished, and we'll probably get to this in the next couple of episodes. I still don't have a plan, so if you guys have any other suggestions other than a personal residence or a private airstrip, let me know. And what I decided to do over here is turn it into a little water area, a little fish tank. The fish are spawning in naturally. I may grab a few others and put them in here, but I think that's a nice touch, and it doesn't get rid of our glass. We're probably going to replicate the same setup on the floor below, and that's primarily because of my OCD, to be honest. If we go down the stairs, we obviously won't have the stairs, but we'll probably build this little area like this for machines on the floor below with the little fish tank because of the ceiling and me only going with 1 block in depth. It really kind of screwed up the ceiling, so we may have to do something to fix that. We'll see. I may think of something in between episodes or before we get to that. But I think what we're going to work on now is getting a new setup for our Powah, so we can make uranium over here instead of at our starter base, as well as dry ice, and that will fully automate, for the most part, our reactor downstairs. So let's get started on that. So this actually went a lot smoother than I expected. I had one of those rare ninja moments where I had a brilliant idea and it actually worked. I was so proud of the way we had this set up at our starter base. But using applied energistics, I was able to compact this even more, and now we can process basically everything we need through the energizing orb, and it's automatic. So we're using a pattern provider where we're sending the ingredients for each item needed to the orb. And it has this blocking mode, so it doesn't push any crafting ingredients if the inventory contains a pattern input. Basically, that means if something is in here, until it is pulled out by the import bus, it won't push anything else in, which resolves the issue we were having with the energizing orb and while we had that crazy timer set up. And now that we're using these spirited rods, it goes so much quicker. And if we go take a look at our reactor down below, specifically the export on the reactor, you'll see that it needs coal, redstone, uraninite, and dry ice. And now we can keep this fully automated and not worry about running out of this stuff, since we have this crafting card in here. If our system runs out of coal, redstone, dry ice, or uraninite, it has permission to craft these items, as long as we have the the resources to make these. And to show you this in action, we can fly up here to our energizing orb and throw in this dry ice pattern. I pulled that out so we could put it in and show you as an example. You can see it's almost instant. I mean, it is smoking through, and it'll stop once it hits 64 down below, but we'll probably keep some in our system. But that thing is crazy fast. But I think for today, that's gonna wrap us up. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know it's been a bit shorter, but I'm dealing with a cold and keeping my voice together. But we pushed through. I think we still was able to put together a pretty decent episode. If you guys did enjoy it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions or feedback, please leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. This is Agro Ninja, and that's a wrap.